Like I kind of lucked out and got the Dior ones, and I've only worn them once, and that was to like Game 6 of last
Uh,
year's finals.
Game six.
Yeah, and even then, I was kind of telling people, "All right, you too close." It was just too much. I had to take them off after a while.
I bet. It's a bit scary, isn't it? You can't put iron on that. You can't straighten out the creases on that either. It's a bit.
Are you a sneakerhead? A baller? Want to know about the hottest brands you can lace up and run with? Well, get ready because we got all the details right here. It's Kicks and Bricks, where we got game on the streets and on the court. Here's your host, Jamel Cutler.
Today we have one of the stars from the hit show Mayor of Kingstown, all the way from the UK, my boy TOBI BAMTEFA.
How you doing?
I'm okay, can't complain. Like I was saying, the snow put an early damp on my day, but I'm gonna put my
Yeah,
beaters on, and I'm
yeah,
not gonna
yeah.
let that stop me.
All right, man. That's all good, man. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's
So
good.
before we get into the show, like I didn't know your father is a famous actor over in Nigeria.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have a hard time, kind of breaking out of his shadow, like and forging your own path?
Um, that's a really good question actually. But I wouldn't say I had a hard time. It was more a case of I sort of I kind of learned how he moves around and stuff, how he carries himself. Also with my mum. So it was interesting, but there were a couple of times where I did feel kind of overlooked, if you know what I mean. Like my dad would go out, for example, and people know who he is. Sometimes if he comes to London and he's walking down central London, Nigerians especially know who he is and stuff. So they kind of stop, take pictures and everything like that, and they would kind of just push me to the side and everything. And it was I had moments like that, but in all that time, I never really felt like that wasn't my moment. I've never felt like it was my moment, so I didn't take any of that to heart. Um, and so yeah, my dad has also been he's also one of those guys who sort of he would just from his perspective, if any decision I made, he would always ensure me that I have to sort of approach it and and own the decision,
Mhm.
so yeah, it was just one of those ones. So I never really felt like it was difficult.
Has that dynamic changed since you like kind of grown into your own as an actor? Like when you guys walk down the street, do they like do people want to stop, take pictures with both of you, or is it kind of still the same?
I don't know. We haven't had the opportunity. So my dad lives in Nigeria, and I live in England. So we haven't really had the opportunity to do all of that. But I think I don't know. Things might change now. I mean, there people are watching the show out there. People also watch. I had an interview on CNN and stuff, and people are kind of watching. They're seeing that. So and they're seeing stuff that I haven't seen, like interviews that I haven't seen and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like it's all gone through the grapevine and sort of spread out. Like I've got aunties that I haven't spoken to in years drop me messages saying congrats and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it might if I when I go see him and stuff, or when he comes here, yeah, who knows what might happen. But nobody really recognizes me as much here. It's more in America, so that's like that's also a different spin on it as well. So yeah.
Most of my favorite shows, like the leads, they're
Mm.
like all British actors, and like for the most part, like I didn't know that they were British until like I seen them in interviews or like at the red
Oh
carpet
really?
stuff like you know, um, what kind of separates like UK actors from their American counterparts?
um I don't know. I don't know what that is. What I can say is that um from the British perspective, there's there's often a lot of research that we have to undergo in order to play American characters, you know, especially if, you know, there are especially if we play like people who have lived, you know, historical figures and such. But that process it's not exclusive to just British actors. And I think it's also important to note that it's not just British actors. Like, I think if I'm, correct me if I'm mistaken, but a lot of the Marvel franchise, a lot of it actually has non-American actors playing several roles. I think Scarlett Johansson is from South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, is Australian. Lupita's Mexican and Kenyan, you know, and, you know, stuff like that. And so it's I don't know what that demarcation is. All I know is that I have a process, and which may or may not be. I didn't go to drama school either, so even then I'm slightly separate from my British counterparts, you know, who some of them went to drama school, some of them went to acting classes and stuff like that. So they sort of learned that way. I learned on the job, so my experience is very specific. So it's kind of difficult for me to have an opinion on what you just asked. It's that's it. That's what I can say, really.
You know, Mayor of Kingstown, you know, is getting like rave reviews. You know, everybody's talking about it. You know, like every time I log on to Twitter, you know, I see people tweeting about the show, and then I have to log on because people like always tweet out spoilers and stuff. So, like, how excited are you for like all the success that the show has had?
Man, I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited. It's actually quite, I'm finding it quite difficult to contain myself in this, because this is the largest role I've ever played, you know, and it's on a massive production with arguably one of the most famous men on the planet, you know what I mean? And so just being in that environment is something that I cherish, and I often have to take moments just throughout my day just to be present and just be like, I'm actually here, you know. I'm really in this. I'm on this set. I'm in this building. I'm, you know, whatever scene it is, and there was a day when my first day on set on season 1, I pulled up to set. And I'd had a conversation with Taylor Sheridan prior to me even coming out to film and stuff. And when I showed up on set, I saw him. It was him, some of the producers, and Jeremy Renner and Kyle Chandler, and they were shooting a scene right by the water. And it was actually the scene where in season 1 where they say, I think it was fucking Monday. So that was the line. Let's go see Bunny. Fucking Monday. So I just remember when I walked in, they were shooting that scene, and I remember seeing Taylor Sheridan, and I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, that's a true to God cowboy. Like this is the kind of person that I've seen in Westerns and stuff, right? And then I look to my right, and they're filming the scene with Jeremy and Khan and stuff. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, these are real life. This is Hollywood. This is real life Hollywood actors that I'm looking at playing out a scene on a huge production. And I kind of had to take a moment there. There are times where I often have to stop myself from crying just out of pure joy. But I'm learning to not do that as much, kind of just let it all flow through and stuff, you know, and just be grateful and all of that. But yeah, it's really difficult to contain my excitement for all of it. And the story is just wild as well, you know. Even some of the actors that I've spoken to, especially like Hugh Dillon. Hugh Dillon is one of the co-creators of the show, and the show is basically based on his life, right, or his experiences and stuff. And just talking to him, I'm kind of like, I can't believe that, you know, I'm even here talking to you. And it's fantastic.
You know, what was it like working opposite Jeremy Renner? Like, I know you just expressed, you know, how excited you were, but like, but would you like liken it to like, all right, it's game 7, and
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, 100%. Game 7, there's like 20 seconds on the clock. And if you need to have, at that moment in time, you would need to have had like what, at least 10 years worth of trainings. You know what I mean? You should have already made playoffs like a couple times before you get to that final shot. And you got one shot, that's it. That's what it felt like. I had to, all of my years of experience and all of my life experience as well as professional experience, I had to really hone in and bring all of that into working with this guy, because this is Jeremy Renner we're talking about, you know. So there wasn't a moment where I felt comfortable, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It just means that I had to really be on my toes. I had to make sure that I was prepared, you know, before I even got to set. And for me, I'm not American, so my research had to be on point. My accent had to be on point. I needed to make sure that all of that was locked in, and I'd honed it. Even right down to studying, you know, the gangs and gang culture, all of that kind of stuff. I had to really make sure that I was prepared before I come to set. And otherwise, if I didn't have that, it would show. It would show on set. You know, I'd be shown up. You know what I mean? I'm standing next to one of the greats, and if I'm a bit shaky, you know what I mean? He's gonna dunk on my face. You know what I mean? So I don't really want that. So yeah.
You know, how's Jeremy doing since the accident? Have you spoken to him since?
Yeah. I sent him an email, sent him a couple messages and stuff like that. I think he's got a really good team of people around him. So he's focusing on recovering. And from what we've seen on social media and the news and stuff, you know, he's got his recovery plan set out. So he's doing the physios and stuff like that, and which are they're all really positive signs to see. So on our side, we're just praying that this guy, you know, comes out of it, you know, even stronger. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, his health is paramount at this point.
You know, I like the way that Bunny kind of yields his power, you know, as one of the primary crime bosses, and he did it all from like sitting in the same chair like the whole series. You know, what kind of sets Bunny apart from, like, you know, the other crime bosses?
I would say perhaps his humor is one, because humor is a tool that can often be used to soften a blow, or often be used to cope. And it's also something, ironically, that most of us kind of relate to. If somebody makes you laugh, you become more receptive towards them, you know. And so I think that's one of the things that that makes Bunny sort of who he is, and what separates him from, I guess, the rest of them. Other than that, he's just as vicious, and just as he can make some really hard decisions, but they're not decisions made in cruelty. He's very conscious of the kinds of decisions that he makes and how it affects his people, because ultimately his goal is not one of greed. His goal is actually one of just trying to survive this, not just survive, but live and thrive in this world, albeit through morally questionable means, you know.
You know, in season 2, your character is in jail, and like you have to fix all the problems that's happening within the gang that you're associated with. You know, and, like, I've never been to jail before, but like I know jail makes people much more ruthless. You know, is that experience gonna reflect in Bunny?
We'll have to see, innit? We'll have to see. I don't want to spoil nothing for you, but yeah, we'll have to see. I think one of the things that I was conscious about, and also which was part of my research, was how prison psychologically affects people, just individuals, and maybe, and also like as a group. But that world is not it's not an easy one to survive in. I spent some time before filming all of those scenes. I spent some time actually sitting inside a cell, or what would have been, or what would be a cell, you know, that you would place an inmate in. And I found it to be quite claustrophobic. And I'm 6'3", 6'4". So just being in that, it was really difficult to move. But now imagine, and that's just me being in it for like a good half an hour, maybe an hour or so. Now imagine if you've got years, you know, on that, in that small box, and you know, you've got your commissaries and stuff like that, and your mattress and everything, and you also have to deal with days in which sometimes it's really hot, but you're also catering, you can't go anywhere. It's that in itself, coupled with the years you have to contemplate being in this environment, is that can really do a number on your mental health, and also your physical health. So I think I would like to think that the research that I did plays out throughout the rest of the episode. But yeah, we'll find out what happens to Bunny. I don't even know if he's going to be out or not. Who knows?
Non-spoilers. You know,
exactly.
You know, Mayor of Kingstown, it kind of touches on, you know, corruption within the criminal justice system here in America. Is it like that over in the UK too, especially when it comes to like Black and brown?
Sorry, repeat the question. Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that the Mayor of Kingstown kind of touches on corruption within the criminal justice system. I know in America, you know, the disparities between sentencing with Black and brown people is kind of high. Is it like that in the UK too?
Yeah. I would say it's quite similar. I don't have the figures at hand, but it is quite similar, especially with the sentencing can be also harsher for people of color and stuff. So yeah, it is similar, but that's not something that is exclusive to just America or Europe. I think just the prisons in general, just the idea of it is it's a global phenomenon, which I guess it makes sense, but the results aren't necessarily the best, because we're talking about corrections, but people often come out worse than they went in, you know. So that's a conversation that will require a lot of research on my part anyway for me to discuss. But yeah, it's something that I noticed from my country, and with the corruption that takes place in all of those in these worlds, and the violence that follows that also is one that happens globally.
You know, and it's like Kanye said, Jerome is going to get more time than Brandon. So
right, exactly. So yeah. Now then it's like all of the racial nuances of and stereotyping, I guess, of people, particularly people who live in relatively diverse countries and stuff. But yeah, gets wild.
You know, while we're on the UK, I was wondering, what is sneaker culture like over there?
It's huge. Sneaker culture is huge out here. It's huge out here. There's these guys, this company that I follow, they're called Kick Game, and they've just opened up stores and stuff. I think they've opened up a store in Birmingham and also in London and stuff. But they have I guess I would say that they kind of almost at the forefront, if not are at the forefront of the whole sneaker culture. You know, they showcase a lot of like rare, artistic, sometimes quite impressive collections of sneakers. But I used to work at Nike, so I became a sneakerhead after working there. And I guess I say I became a sneaker. I used to get free sneakers, you know what I mean, just for work and stuff. And we also had a massive discount. I think the discount was significant enough to where I was paying maybe 20-30 pounds for sneakers and stuff, where everybody's paying like 160. So, you know, that it's huge. It's huge. We would have queues going outside. People would queue up overnight, sometimes to 48 hours in advance for a new release of some of Jordans, you know. And yeah, it's massive. It's massive. It's a huge culture in itself. And yeah, the only thing is just that the sneakers are getting a little bit more and more expensive. It's kind of It was kind of. I'm getting older as well, so I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can spend it on this. My wife is looking at me weird, like, dude, you got bills to pay, bro. You know what I mean?
I felt that.
Yeah.
You and I are in the same boat.
Yeah. Real.
You know, in New York, we're synonymous with Air Force Ones and Tims. Is there sneakers
Tims, yeah.
that the UK is famous for?
Air Max 90s. Sometimes Air Max 1s, Air Max 90s. At the moment, I'm seeing a lot of New Balance. New Balance is kind of popping off as well, but the staples obviously are there. The Jordans, Jordan. I'm partial to Jordan 1. I like the ones, and the 4s. I love those. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, and Huaraches actually. Huaraches. I don't know if the ones with the strap at the back and stuff. Yeah. So it's those ones, but the shoes, the sneakers that are quintessentially British, I would say, are the Air Max 90s and the Air Max 1s. Those two are the ones, and TNs, Nike TNs, like, because I remember that this is like back in the day now. I think I'm showing my age, but when I was a teenager, that was what was popping off. You know, TNs. Everybody had the pair of TNs and some Rockports. When we would wear that to school and hide it in our shoe bag because we couldn't wear sneakers to school, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. So like this year we're only into March, and like there's been like so many Jordan 2 releases already, and like and much more on the horizon. You know, I think this is of the Jordan 2.
Are you a Jordan 2 fan?
I like the Don C ones, the high ones.
Okay. Yeah.
That's about the only silhouette that I like. Like, I mean, I was gifted the off-white low ones, the ones that look like bowling shoes.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
like
but not really, but you know, it'll gift it. So
yeah, I'll take it. All right.
I'm just not really a big Jordan 2 fan. And like for me is 1, 5, 7, 10,
Sevens, yeah, sevens are decent. Okay.
and 12,
Tens,
13.
yeah. Okay. I like all of the ones. I like the Jordan ones. I really love the 4s, especially like the I forgot what they're called. They were great, but they had like this they had like the fluorescent green accents on them. I forgot what that, but that's my favorite colorway. And I do actually quite like the 6s, but I like the Carmines.
Oh yeah.
Carmine 6s, yeah. And I'll tell you why though. I had a mate. His name's Dwayne, and he had phone posits. He had a room full of phone posits, but the 6s, when that came out in the store, there was a queue outside. People were waiting for about 2 days for the Carmines to come out. And I remember Dwayne was telling me, Dwayne's American, but he lives in England. And Dwayne was telling me, he was like, dog, you gotta get these, dog. I'm telling you, you gotta get them. You gotta get them. I'm telling you, you sleep on these, you're gonna regret it. And I didn't buy them. I regretted it. I should have bought them because those sneakers now, I think when they came out, they were 160, but people were selling them for 400 when they came out. And I didn't understand why. But this is not even just to resell it or anything like that. These were resellers, you know what I mean? But it was just for the fact that the colorway was so distinctive. And the shoe itself, obviously, it's the 6s, you know what I mean? But just that colorway was just it kind of stood out from everything. And the really bold colors, you know, really bold design, and yeah, I slept on them. So, but yeah, I would say Carmine 6s. I would say.
You know, did you see the recent collab between the Air Force Ones and Tiffany's?
No, I'm gonna Google that right now. Actually,
It's a black Air Force One with I think green accents, and like the Nike check is green. I mean,
okay,
to me, it's nothing special, but you know, the resell is gonna.
yeah, it's gonna go up in value, of course, because it's Tiffany's, isn't it? Air Force and Tiffany's. Let me see. Oh yeah. I have seen these actually. Big laces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They were right, you know.
Yeah,
I
I
can see.
mean, they're just too basic for me.
Yeah, they're all right. I can see, but just a nice pair of jeans. If I wear a nice pair of jeans with these, and I guess the swoosh, obviously that stands out. Yeah, I've never really worn Air Forces before. I think because I've always felt like they were too chunky because of my height and my build. So when I'm walking around in them, I feel extra heavy. But then I like big shoes. Like I've got a pair of up tempos, you know, and they're chunky shoes, you know what I mean? So the Air Forces, I think it doesn't really make sense, but yeah.
Yeah, but you gotta rock the Air Force Ones, the lows, but buy like 3 or 4 pairs of them because you know after like 2 or 3 wears,
Yeah, they crease and stuff. Yeah,
they use. So
yeah. I used to sell the you know, the crease protectors. So you have to put them into the shoe, obviously, to kind of push it up a little bit. And
yeah,
but I don't really know how much that works because you can still see the crease line
I
on the
used to get
top.
mine out with the iron. You had to wet the shoe. I forgot how I did it. You had to put the iron on the lowest setting. You put like newspaper or whatever to bulk up the shoe, and you put
Uh,
like wet cloth on the shoe, and then kind of damp it out.
right. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. I haven't done it in a while, but
And that doesn't damage the shoe.
no. But you have to put the iron like on the lowest setting possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Never thought about that. I never thought about
Oh yeah, I used to know all the tricks to save money here and there, so I wanted to buy a new pair.
that.
I found it for Air Force Ones because man, I was running through them like it was nothing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I didn't think about that. That's interesting. I might try that actually. I don't have a pair anymore, but
Yeah,
yeah,
just try it with an old pair because it's going to
yeah.
take a while for you to like actually get the actual mechanics right.
Mm.
It also depends on the iron too. So
I have a pair of bread ones though from 2016, but I don't know if that would work. So they're quite old, and I wore those to like the back, you know, the back of the heel was like chewed up at the back.
okay.
Yeah.
So just practice on them. So
Yeah, I think I'll try that. I think I'll try that because I've been looking to rejuvenate those because they were my favorite. They were my favorite also. Like out of all the ones that I have, them ones and the what's the blue ones? What's the Royal Blues? Is it Royal Blues?
oh yeah, the Royal Blues.
Yeah. But I had those in Flyknit. Those
Mhm.
are the Flyknit ones. They're high top, but the bread ones that I have are low tops. But yeah.
Do you rock any off-white joints?
I can't afford it.
No, I'm scared to rock any of mine. So
Yeah, I can't afford it. I can't because if I get them, I don't think I would wear them. I would just have to put them up on. Yeah, I just have to walk around with them in my hand like this and be like, yeah, I just
exactly
rock some slippers. You know what I mean?
like me.
Be like, yeah.
Like like I kind of lucked out and got the Dior ones, and I've only worn them once, and that was to like Game 6 of last
Uh,
year's finals.
Game 6.
Yeah, and even then I was kind of telling people, all right, you too close. It was just too much. I had to take them off after a while.
I bet. It's a bit scary, isn't it? You can't put iron on that. You can't straighten out the creases on that either. It's a bit.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now like I got my wear out of them, so now they just kind of just sitting.
Mm.
Mhm.
All right.
I see you rocking the Chicago Bulls hoodie. Is that your team?
Yeah. Yes, it is my team, but I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan as well.
Uh-huh.
Especially after I've always been a Michael Jordan fan, but especially after watching uh
That's
the Last Dance. Yeah, especially after watching that and kind of seeing because I used to watch tapes. I have the what do you call it? The NBA subscription.
Mhm.
So I watch like all kind of all the old games, especially Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, and Shaq. I watched those three guys. I watch all of their old games a lot. And but then obviously when you're watching the games, you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. And obviously Michael Jordan I was young when he was playing. So you miss out on all of the story and all the drama and stuff like that. So watching The Last Dance was a chance for me to really know who he is or know what he went through just as an individual as well as a basketball player. And I was really inspired by everything that he's achieved and I got to understand the kind of person he is. And also, listening to Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, talk about him and kind of talk about their kinship, their rivalry / mentoring / friends / whatever that was. Seeing it from that perspective, kind of like an older brother, younger brother kind of relationship they had, it felt really human to me, and I could relate to both of them, just on a human level. So yeah. I'm a Jordans fan, but I really like the Bulls. I like the colorway. I like the logo. I like the just the black and red. I like the fact that when the ones came out, there's a whole history behind it. When the ones came out, Nike was fined, for releasing the sneakers and stuff. So that just the history around all of that is just I love it. So yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of like it because, like, to me, the sneaker is anti-establishment, and it's
Exactly.
kind of like a rebel sneaker, and like deep down inside,
Yeah.
that's what.
Yeah. I agree. It means it's like it's almost like it was a form of expression in itself, in which, like you said, the anti-establishment of the NBA at the time was one such where people were wearing, everybody was it Converse at the time, that everybody had to wear the same white sneakers and stuff like that and sort of dress the same. But I think that moment kind of changed how players express themselves, and it almost freed up the game in a sense as well, because the way the game was played back then is completely different to how it's played now. And we're seeing people pull off moves, and we're also seeing gameplay that is so distinctive and so out there that you would never have considered that years ago. Yeah.
The NBA All-Star Celebrity Game was this past weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no NBA player, but I think I could put up a good 15 points in that game.
You reckon?
Yeah. What's your stat line if you played in the celebrity game?
In it. So let me see. I would say, yeah, in my heyday, when I played ball before my injury, I had 2 spots I could shoot from at quite a high degree of accuracy. And those were on the baseline on either end. If I get to those spots, I'm fine. I don't need to see the backboard, it's going in. And I was also quite quick for my height, but that put a lot of strain on my knees. So I reckon I could put down, I don't think I'll be able to put down up to, in a game like that, I don't think I'll be able to put down maybe 15. I mean, they'd have to let me go, do you know what I'm saying? Because obviously I'm not as quick as I used to be, but I would say maybe a good 10 points. I could rack up 10 points. Yeah, a couple threes, little layup here and there.
I've seen these games in person. I think you can put up at least 20.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I don't have a 6-pack anymore, I'm carrying like another person here, you know what I mean? But that's generous of me. Thank you.
Which NBA player would make the best prison boss on Mayor of Kingstown? I think Dylan Brooks in Memphis might be a good one, or Pat Beverly. He just signed with the Bulls. I think he might make a crime boss since he's always with the shits.
I would say, well, he's not playing now, but I would say Gasol, Paul Gasol. I would say, and trying to think of now.
He looks like a big time Colombian drug dealer.
Yeah. I would say Paul Gasol, man. I think Paul Gasol has some leadership qualities about him, but he also deferred to Kobe a lot. So, they had this understanding. But if Paul Gasol really got to it, or even Manu Ginobili, like, you know,
Him too.
if they really got into it, man, they could overtake the whole thing. So yeah, I'll put my money on Manu Ginobili actually.
All right, so on the flip side of that, like which NBA player would make the best cop? Because something tells me a guy like Chris Paul, who's always telling on people, will make a
Chris
good,
Paul.
yeah. Chris Paul or
He's always telling on people.
yeah, Chris Paul or LeBron. I think LeBron.
You think LeBron?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he'd make a good detective as well. He'd be like, I think yeah, I can see that. Chris Paul, yeah.
Chris Paul is always telling. He'll be the main one try and jam somebody up.
No. Oh, okay, yeah, I guess. That's cold. That's funny. Yeah, I think Kyrie Irving. I think he'd make a good police officer. I'm not calling him an up, by the way. I'm not saying I think he'll make a good police officer. I think he's skillful enough. He'll be catching people left, right, and center. They wouldn't even know it. So
I think Kyrie would be one of them cops, like the supervisor would tell him, or the commanding officer would tell him X, Y, and Z, and then he'll go off and do his own thing.
Yeah, he would. He'll be like Will Smith in Bad Boys, like one of them guys. Just yeah. I'll go with that.
All right, Toby. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was a dope conversation.
Likewise, man.
It was early in the morning on my end, midday on your end. I want to
Yeah.
thank you for joining me today. Do you have any upcoming projects that you're working on?
Nothing that I can speak on just yet, but I will say Mayor of Kingstown, obviously, episodes air every Sunday in America and Mondays in the UK. So yeah, if you guys are really rocking with the show, then yeah, just catch up on it on that. Season 1 is already out on there, so you can binge that. Season 2, we're getting up to episode 7 now. So yeah, man, just get on it.